in terms of visits to local restaurants, hotels, amusement parks, historical attractions. We've never before been given the opportunity to host the Empire State Games here in the county, and the Committee on Community Affairs passed this resolution urging the governor to allow us to host the games. Thank you.
Very good. Is there any discussion on this? Mr. Mazzano.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Obviously, this is something we're all going to support. I think this could be really exciting for the county. I have some involvement with the Empire State Games. I actually was asked to join the water polo team one year, and because of work requirements, I couldn't make it the nights they practiced. I always felt bad about that my whole life. I thought that would have been fun to represent Westchester in the Empire State Games. Anyway, my one suggestion to the chair, if I may, Mr. Chair, this is going to be an exciting thing for the county. 2007 is not that far away. I was wondering if our board should have some kind of internal committee, one of our standing committees to supervise this, so not the administration isn't really doing all the work. Our board can be actively involved in all stages of this process, because I do think it's a great idea the county executive has. And I'd like to see our board very involved in this as well. So I ask you, Mr. Chair, to take a look at that, see if you could put something together, either subcommittee, one of our standing committees, a special committee, so that our board plays a proper role in bringing the Empire State Games to the Westchester, and then making sure that it's run properly. Thank you.
Mr. Pinto.
Yes, I too support this, and I believe Commissioner Stoughton Parks, so it would be a natural for the Parks Committee. We'll have to discuss it on the Westchester County Parks Board level as well. Since we'll be using various facilities, we've already reached out, and I've been involved with the Empire State Games through previous students who've gone up to participate, and I can only say it's a great event, and you know, we ought to really support this as a board on the whole matter. And certainly I think that Jim's suggestion, either Community Affairs and Parks Department, should take the lead on this. We have some wonderful support from the business community, and I think it's a natural for Parks.
Mr. Alvarado.
Yes. As chairman of Parks and Recreation, we'll be delighted to take this project on and follow it through and make sure it happens in 2007. Thank you.
Mr. Rogowski.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I rise to support this, and having just heard my colleague, Mr. Mazzano, talk about his past exploits, I now understand some of the unusual statements that come from him. I think he's been hit in the head by a water polo ball a little too many times.
What the heck? Any other? Oh, man. Is there any other discussion or response? Are we going to volley back and forth here? Or?
We have our own time.
All right. Any
Mr.
other
Chairman, I only point out that Legislator Rogowski, as you all know, plays a lot of baseball, and now it's clear that he doesn't wear his batting helmet when he goes to the plate.
This is too much.
Any other discussion? Mr. Clerk.
Mrs. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Wishney?
Aye.
Mr. Young? Yes. Mrs. Lamont? Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Passes 17-0. Items D1, Committee on Community Affairs, Committee on Public Works, Technology, and Budget Appropriations. Bond Act authorizing the issuance of $514,000 in bonds to finance technology upgrades and satellite space and other technology improvements at Westchester Community College.
Mrs. Lamont.
As Technology Chairman, I rise to ask for the vote on this bond, which has the smart satellite, and the smart technology for satellite campuses, as well as the main campus of the community college. This technology improvements, there are two bond acts that we had requested that we put together as one for the community college. It would fund the purchase and installation of equipment needed for smart classrooms, graphic printers, wireless communications, and storage area network at WCC, and I would urge its passage. Thank you.
Mr. Kaplowitz.
Yes, just to add to that from the financial standpoint, Dr. Hankin, his whole administration deserve a lot of credit. They received and sought out and received a grant equal to the $514,000. No, it's wonderful because the technology is great, and the fact that New York State, through its process, is paying for half the cost is a wonderful investment, twice leveraged. So budget appropriations also urges passage.
Mrs. Bronze.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Those of us on the Education Committee had the privilege last spring, thank Bernice, of visiting the satellites. And it's exciting and impressive to bring that quality of college education to our communities. And I'm really pleased to support this.
Is there any other discussion? This is an important item,
Yes.
and I'd like to thank, I know Budget and Appropriations is always involved in this type of thing, but I would like to thank the board's Education Committee and Committee on Technology for being actively involved in the review of this item. This is obviously one of the reasons why, well over 15 months ago, we established these committees, so they could be part of the oversight process. Mr. Abenante.
Just one comment, Mr. Chairman. When we're talking about satellites, we hear of a lot of travel by various government officials. We're not talking about going out of space. We're talking about these are locations that are not part of the Westchester Community College campus in Greenburgh. They're a satellite location. We're not talking about putting satellites in classrooms. Correct?
Oh, okay, let me change that.
Just wasn't clear.
Glad he clarified that.
Thank you,
Because you were
Mr.
saying we're satellite space here. They have to be a very large classroom.
Thank you, Mr. Abenante. Love these morning meetings.
Yes.
Hunger will do that.
Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Young? Yes. Mr. Oros? Astronaut Abenante?
Yes.
Astronaut, you missed
Mr. Alvarado?
Yes.
Mr. Astorino?
Yes.
Mrs. Bronze?
Yes.
Mr. Burrows?
Burrows.
Mr. Kaplowitz?
Aye.
Mrs. Lamott?
Aye.
Mr. Maizano? Mrs. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Pinto?
Aye.
Mr. Rogowski? Yes. Mrs. Spreckman? Mrs. Stewart-Cousins? Mr. Wishney?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Passes 16-0. And takes us to the Committee on Public Works and Committee on Budget and Appropriations. Resolution finding no significant impact on the environment from construction in connection with improvements, Bronx River Parkway.
Mr. Kaplan.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Budget Appropriations in conjunction with the Public Works Committee chaired by Legislator Clinton Young dealt with the following 8 items. This first one has 2 pieces to it, the negative declaration of environmental impact as well as the $1.7 million of bonding. This particular bonding would be to fund the cost of the rehabilitation of a portion of the Bronx River pathway from Green Acres Avenue in Scarsdale to Kensico Dam at Valhalla. Surface is in poor condition. The first phase of this project has been well received, and both committees urge passage of both the negative declaration of environmental impact as well as the bonding itself.
Any discussion on this bond act? Mr. Clerk, long roll call, please.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Abenante?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarado?
Yes.
Mr. Astorino? Mrs. Bronze?
Yes.
Mr. Burrows? Yes. Mr. Kaplowitz?
Aye.
Ms. Lamott?
Aye.
Mr. Maizano? Mrs. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Pinto?
Aye.
Mr. Rogowski? Yes. Mrs. Spreckman? Mrs. Stewart-Cousins?
Yes.
Mr. Wishney?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Passes 15-0. 2 absent.
Right, roll call vote then.
Item G1, Bond Act authorizing the issuance of $1,700,000 in bonds to finance the following capital project, Bronx River Reservation Pathways.
Mr. Kaplowitz.
So moved.
Any discussion?
Without objection.
Without objection, I'll take the prior roll call vote for its approval.
Passes 15-0. Item 2, Bond Act authorizing the issuance of $350,000 in bonds to finance Bronx River Parkway Bridge over Bronx River in Scarsdale.
Mr. Kaplowitz.
Mr. Chairman, the aforementioned committees met. This is proposed bonding in the amount of $350,000 to fund design and construction of improvements to the vehicular bridge on the Bronx River Parkway immediately north of the Green Acres Avenue exit. We've been advised by Public Works Department that this section of the parkway is in need of repair to provide a safe roadway. We so urge passage.
Any discussion? Without objection, I'll take the prior long roll call vote for its approval.
Passes 15-0. Item 3, Bond Act authorizing the issuance of $355,000 of bonds to finance Pines Bridge Road and Ryder Road in Ossining, Newcastle, and Yorktown.
Mr. Kaplowitz.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Two committees well met on this. It's $355,000 capital requested to fund the cost of the design in connection with a resurfacing of approximately 5 miles of roadway. This is roadway between Route 9A to Kitchewan Road, Route 134. We urge passage.
Any discussion? Without objection, I'll take the prior long roll call vote for its approval.
Passes 15-0. Item 4, bond act authorizing the issuance of $160,000 in bonds to finance improvements on Hamilton Avenue in White Plains.
Mr. Kaplowitz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Hamilton.
4,
Forgive me, sidebar comment question. Here we're dealing with $160,000. This would be for design and the resurfacing of approximately 0.55 miles of roadway, Hamilton Avenue. We urge passage.
Any discussion? Without objection, I'll take the prior long roll call vote for its approval.
Passes 15-0. Item 5, bond act authorizing the issuance of $311,000 in bonds to finance capital project Odell Avenue over Putnam right-of-way in Yonkers.
Mr. Kaplowitz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As described, bonding in the amount of $311,000, which would deal with the cost of the replacement of the bridge superstructure, steel beams, concrete deck, and the like on Odell Avenue over the Putnam right-of-way for safety purposes necessary, and we urge passage.
Any discussion? Without objection, I'll take the prior long roll call vote for the approval of the item.
Passes 15-0. Item 6, bond act authorizing the issuance of $1,400,000 in bonds to finance general infrastructure heavy vehicle replacement.
Mr. Chairman, point of personal privilege, can I request a very brief recess on this, just for a moment?
Is there any objection to taking a brief recess? We stand in recess.
As to whether it complies with the laws that
The
we
recess is
passed,
concluded.
to low sulfur fuel. And, so.
The Bond Act authorizing the issuance of $1.4 million in bonds, general infrastructure, heavy vehicle replacement. Chair recognizes the Chair of the Budget Committee.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, thank you. We have before us $1.4 million to finance basically the replacement of trucks and other heavy vehicles, many of which are gasoline, some of which are diesel. They're used throughout the county park system primarily, and we did add this to the capital program for this year. This is the bonding itself. We did get a list of all the different vehicles and understand that the average age of the vehicles is 12 years old. Odometers counts quite high, some as high as 170,000 miles. For safety and for efficiency and all, it's obviously appropriate we move forward. We do have a commitment from the appropriate administrative members that they will come to us once again and specifically brief us on the diesel portion to make sure that we are employing the highest and best standard appropriate necessary from a low sulfur standpoint that can be incorporated in these vehicles, and we're assured that that in fact will be the case. Really want to congratulate and thank the Chairman of the Environment Committee, Tom Abenanti, who has educated all of us to the standards and what's coming, and is helping through the clean air discussions to make the air a little cleaner in Westchester County. We certainly want to act in pursuit of, and this is an opportunity to do just that. We move passage.
Any discussion? No discussion. Okay, just let me say that I thank you, Mr. Kaplowitz, and I'm asking the administration to proceed ahead as quickly as possible to appear before our two committees to answer questions that we need to raise relative to work that we're doing and how it impacts this proposed acquisition of heavy equipment. Mr. Clerk, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Young? Yes. Mr. Oros? Mr. Abenanti?
Yes.
Mr. Alvarado?
Yes.
Mr. Astorino? Mrs. Bronze?
Yes.
Mr. Burrows. Mr. Kaplowitz.
Aye.
Mrs. Lamont.
Aye.
Mr. Maizano. Ms. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Pinto.
Aye.
Mr. Rogowski.
Yes.
Mrs. Spreckman. Mrs. Stewart Cousins. Yes. Mr. Wishney. Aye. Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Passes 14 to 0. 3 absent. Bond Act authorizing the issuance of $120,000 of bonds to finance Weaver Street, New Rochelle, and Scarsdale capital improvements.
Mr. Kaplowitz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a capital project here to design, actually, the funding for the design of a reconstruction of a little under 1 mile, 0.91 miles of roadway on Weaver Street between Quaker Ridge Road and Cornell Street, City of New Rochelle, Village of Scarsdale. Needs to be noted the total project will cost $615,000. We're bonding the $120,000, but the administration has successfully brought us $495,000 in non-county funds, state and federal government transportation aid to do this work, so we urge passage of this item.
Any discussion?
Thank you.
Without objection, I'll take the prior long roll call vote for its approval.
Excellent. 14-0.
Passes 14 to 0. Final Bond Act, amending Bond Act 88 of 2004, authorizing the issuance of $900,000 in bonds to finance an upgrade of the fire alarm system at the Valhalla campus of Westchester Community College.
Mr. Kaplowitz.
System is old, obsolete, replacement parts unavailable, so is testified to us, and we're moving here for a package of $900,000 that will finance the construction of an upgrade to the very important general fire alarm system at the Valhalla campus. It's currently 60 years old, and while work has occurred during, really the system itself needs to be completely rehabbed at this point, and we urge passage for safety and other reasons.
Is there any discussion? Without objection, I'll take the prior long roll call vote for its approval.
Passes 14 to 0. Takes us to motions, resolutions, call of districts.
Memorial resolutions, any additions to the memorial resolutions? Mrs. Spreckman.
I want to add Anna Habina and Joseph Miller.
Mr. Abenante.
Mr. Chairman, for Legislator Bronze and for me, could we please add Eileen Woodhull to the death resolutions?
Legislator Myers.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I could please ask to add on the death of Lillian Robustelli, the past confidential secretary to the past 5 supervisors in the town of Amerenik.
Okay, Mrs. Stewart Cousins.
Yes, I'd like to add the names of Mrs. Pauline Williams and Mrs. Catherine Marshall.
Mrs. Bronze.
Sorry.
Any other additions to memorial resolutions? Mr. Young.
Mr. Chairman, I move
I'm very sorry, Mrs. Stewart Cousins, I didn't see your hand.
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. Legislator Spreckman, and I'm sure Legislator Alvarado and probably Legislator Burrows would probably want to join in Mrs. Marshall, that's Kathy Marshall's mom, and she's certainly been active in the Yonkers community for a long time. Secondly, just before, we do have a meeting at 3 o'clock, which I think might be of interest if legislators would care to attend. The Families Committee will be reviewing the Child Welfare League Association's review of the Department of Social Services and the Child Protective Services of our department. So if you are available, even if you're not on the Families Committee, it's an important issue, and certainly we'd like you there. Thank you.
Yeah, Mrs. Bronze.
An announcement. Most of you know that Chuck and I do the 24-hour walk for American Cancer Society, and in the past you've been very supportive. We're coming again to invite you, those of us who have lost or who have been touched by cancer in our family, feel very strongly about the research. I thank you for your past support, and you may certainly expect to hear from me soon.
Okay, now, Mr. Young, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adjourn and that we reconvene on the 25th of this month at 7 p.m.
We all rise, please. A moment of silence for those who are listed today on our memorial resolutions. On the motion of Mr. Young, the board stands adjourned.